Hello and welcome back. Since we've been off the air, we've been taking some very, very promising calls here. We've had some very good calls on most of our cases, particularly the theft of the Caffieri paintings from Watford and the gun shop robbery in Hinckley. And that's the case we start with. Nick.
Indeed we did. Our first reconstruction tonight was a gruesome crime in Leicestershire. Two men posing as police officers came to the back door of a gun shop in Hinckley, but they overpowered the owner. Eventually they took 24 guns and then quite gratuitously poured petrol over the victim and set him alight. Ian Lacey, one of the worst crimes, in fact the worst crime by far you've ever had to cope with. The guy is so badly burned. He's only just alive, really. You've had a tremendous response. I've been watching the calls.
Absolutely excellent. The response has been marvellous. Well over 100 calls up to now, and they're still coming in.
And it's quality as well as quantity?
Quality as well as quantity, yes, we've got both. We've all sorts of work to do from now on, fortunately.
Now, you've got a lot of names. Several of them corroborate, but on the other hand, you've got several different names which corroborate.
Yes, really doesn't matter. That's for us to sort out, and we're extremely glad to be able to do so.
And a lot of villains themselves have called. I mean, nobody but nobody seems to have sympathy with these.
No, nobody at all. Everybody, to a man, to a woman that's rung us in, has all been of the same mind.
Now, one woman I know, because I was there when one of the calls came through, rang in a very, very distressed condition, and I gather has rung 3 times now.
She's now telephoned us 3 times. Very, very distressed, poor lady. She obviously wants to talk to us and needs to talk to us. She thinks she can give us a name. I really would urge her to ring myself, you, or any of the girls if she wants to speak to a female. I'm more than glad to speak to her.
Right. Ask to speak to Ian Lacey if you want, or to BBC researcher, whoever you want to call. Please, just ring us. Sue.
Well, next, the theft of precious paintings from a house in Hertfordshire. The pictures have been passed down to the artist's grandson, who lives in Castlebury Park in Watford. On the morning of Wednesday the 4th of March, his wife was robbed by 2 armed men posing as British Telecom engineers.
Oh, my God.
Well, Gary Purser, I know you've had some very good calls. What in particular?
Well, I've been very pleased with the response we've had. We've had a large response, and we're now centring our inquiries around a particular area. We've also had a number of sightings of both the men, and I think it'd be worth having a look at the video fit again.
Right, the first man.
That's the first man, the very pale man, and his companion was much thicker set, much healthier looking, ruddy complexion, much stockier build, and was described by one witness as looking like Benny on Crossroads. And the funny thing about him was that he had no bootlace at all in his left boot. Right. So if anybody else can remember that funny pair, we'd like them to ring in.
Any more calls on them? And any calls on the paintings in particular?
Yes, we've had one gentleman ring in from Sussex who's actually had a catalogue with one of our paintings in it, offering it for sale, and obviously we'll be checking that up as well.
Right. And finally, we've had a lot of calls, I gather, from British Telecom engineers.
Yes, there is a bit of a misunderstanding there. The message is that BT do on occasions call without prior notice, but if they are genuine, they won't mind being checked out and they won't mind the door being shut on them while you do it.
Right, Mr Purser, thank you.
Thank you.
Our third reconstruction was about the murder of the private eye, Daniel Morgan. Mr. Morgan worked all across Britain. He specialised in jobs of finance companies, serving writs or recovering overdue payments, repossessing cars, things like that. On the night of Tuesday the 10th of March, as he was drinking at the Golden Lion in Sydenham, South London, he was discovered lying later in the pub car park. He'd been struck on the head with an axe. Douglas Cameron has been taking your calls, not a lot of them.
No, quite a disappointing response, Nick, really. But having said that, there have been a number of the anonymous calls from people who obviously know the background to this murder. It needs more information to come in, and I would advise or request that the people that we need the help of the public to solve this brutal crime.
Anybody who knew Daniel Morgan, saw him anywhere. Incidentally, you wanted to trace somebody of whom you had a photograph, and a woman who said, "It's me," rang, said, "Why are you showing my photograph? There she is again." Let's make it clear, you only want to eliminate her from your inquiries. It may be completely irrelevant.
Exactly. The woman who rang up was anonymous, so we're still no further forward, and we still don't know who the young lady is.
OK, Mr Campbell, thank you.
Well, next, our incident desk and photo call appeals, which have generated a very big response tonight. Helen, first of all, any news on the body of the woman found near Maidstone yesterday morning?
Well, there have been over 30 calls.
one of which came from a woman who didn't have time to give her name. She said, "Listen quick, I'm being watched. I know who killed the woman in Maidstone." And to that woman I say, please ring again. The lines here will close pretty soon, but the incident room at Maidstone Police Station will be manned.
You had another tip on that particular case as well, didn't you?
Well, yes, one astute caller in the north of England has suggested that the description of this woman fits that of a missing person reported in their local paper. That will obviously be checked out.
Right. What about the robbers who've been robbing in the south but actually might be northerners?
Yes, we've had over 10 calls, mainly of sightings of men similar to these two. They're described as, well, particularly the one in the background. He's older, 40 to 45 years, 5'10". He's got a pronounced beer belly. The younger one, in the foreground, is of Mediterranean or Asian appearance, 25 years old, 6 foot and slim. Recognise them? Or call us.
And finally, on photocall, you were looking to put a name to a building society robber in Essex.
Well, 2 prison officers have phoned in giving the same name. That's always very promising. And one caller has suggested that he lives in the Hornchurch area, which ties up where one of the robberies happened.
Right, Helen, thank you.
David, the Shani Warren murder.
Yes, a very sad case. We've only had a couple of useful calls on that one, a possible sighting of the Black Cavalier, but remember we still want sightings of where Shaney was between 6 p.m. on Good Friday evening and 01:30 in the morning. And also that light blue Metro that we mentioned that was in the lay-by near Shaney's car. We still want to know whose that is. Please, if you're not involved, contact us.
Now, we mentioned an attack in Manchester on some kids, some quite young kids, where this knife was subsequently found. It has Busby written along it there, and we had a lot of calls on this.
Yes, over 30 calls here to the studio, and a number also to Manchester Police Direct. We showed the video fit of the man. He's described as 18 years, 5'10", slim to medium build, short blonde hair and freckles. What we really want to know is who is he and where is he now? We've had a number of suggestions that we're following up. One's we want to know where he is now.
Someone who thinks he was in a detention centre recently. The cheque fraudster who's been trying to cash cheques throughout the country.
Yes, we showed a security camera picture of this man. We had a call from a PC in Redditch who says he's got an identikit that fits this guy and also the method that he's been employing in dropping cheques around the country. So where is he now? Please call us.
Some of them actually look quite promising, so.
Well, that's it for this month. The lines here will be closing down at midnight, but we'll give you local numbers in just a moment. Don't forget you could always write to us or contact your local police. We'll give you more results tomorrow on Open Air at 5 past midday approximately.
We'll be back next month, Thursday the 21st of May. By then, with your help, and we're still getting some quite important calls, I've just been told, some of tonight's crimes may well have been solved. Indeed, it looks as though they will have been. So don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.